Welcome to the Deep Dive. We pulled key knowledge, insights from different sources to help you get informed fast.
Yep.
And today, we're diving into something really fascinating. How the United States, became the 50 states we know today, starting from these separate entities.
Our source is a pretty compelling YouTube video that lays out this whole story.
Right. So our mission here is to unpack that journey, figure out the key moments, the forces involved, and just see how this union actually happened, kind of against the odds sometimes. And something that jumps out right away, really sets the scene, is thinking about these states. Well, imagine them as individual countries.
Yeah, because initially that's pretty much what they were like.
Some were just huge, like the video mentions Texas around 700,000 square kilometers.
Wow.
It's way bigger than France, like double Germany, 5 times England.
So these weren't just small provinces. They were distinct, vast places. Exactly. Different characters, rules, people. So the puzzle is, how did these, disparate places, sometimes with seemingly nothing connecting them, end up under one flag?
It's fascinating because looking back, this outcome wasn't guaranteed at all, not even close.
Right.
These weren't just like waiting to join up. They developed very differently. But to get the union, you first have to look at the land itself, way before Europeans showed up.
Okay, yeah. Because this land had a really deep history, home to incredibly diverse indigenous peoples for thousands and thousands of years.
Absolutely. And the video touches on that theory, about their migration possibly over a land bridge from Asia.
A land bridge that later disappeared.
Yeah, with ice melt and rising sea levels, they had complex societies, rich cultures already here.
And then comes 1492.
Columbus arriving famously lost on his ship.
Right.
And that just changed everything, opened the door, or maybe, forced it open for European colonization. And the Europeans were apparently just amazed by what they found, seeing the native populations as, well, the video says simple, but also believing they had immense wealth.
That perception, unfortunately, really fueled the colonization drive. You had different European powers starting to set up shop.
Like who?
Well, Spain and Portugal were big in the south. France claimed huge areas in the Geese, moving inland.
Okay.
Even the Netherlands and Sweden had smaller but still significant colonies.
But the big player on the East Coast, eventually, was Great Britain, right? Even though they were kind of late to the party.
Exactly. The first permanent English colony the video points to is Virginia, Jamestown, 1607.
Okay.
And as more immigrants came, and tragically, as the forced transport of enslaved people increased, these settlements just grew and grew.
Leading eventually to the 13 distinct English colonies along the coast.
That's right. And the video groups them nicely for us.
Yeah, you had the northern colonies, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut.
Then the middle colonies, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware.
And the southern ones, Maryland, Virginia, the Carolinas, North and South, and Georgia.
13 distinct entities.
But while they were distinct, they all had this tie back to London, right? Each had a governor appointed directly by the crown.
Yeah, exactly. That governor ran the show locally, administration, laws, collecting taxes. So they shared that experience of being ruled from afar.
A system that kind of worked.
Until it didn't. Tensions were always bubbling, internally and with other Europeans nearby.
Which brings us to conflict. The video mentions clashes between the British and the French in America.
Yes, they were vying for control. Britain was largely successful, pushed France out of most of their North American territories.
Sounds like a win for Britain.
It was militarily. But here's the kicker. Those wars cost a fortune. Britain ended up deep in debt.
And where did they look to make that money back?
Towards the colonies, across the Atlantic.
Makes sense from their perspective, I guess.
So the decision was made, tax the colonists heavily. The video highlights the Stamp Act, 1765.
And that wasn't minor, right?
No way. Heavy taxes on documents, paper, goods shipped over. It made prices spike.
You can imagine the reaction. That probably didn't go over too well.
Not at all. And this is where you see the first real stirrings of unity. The video says delegates from different colonies actually gathered together.
For the first time?
Yes, specifically to protest these taxes, to send a message back to the king and parliament.
But London didn't really budge.
Not initially. So the colonists stepped it up. They started boycotting British goods.
Oh, hit him in the wallet.
Exactly. And that worked. British merchants and manufacturers, their businesses were hurting, so they pressured Parliament.
Interesting.
And Parliament listened to them. The Stamp Act got repealed in 1766.
Okay, so a moment of calm.
A brief one.
Okay.
Because pretty soon, Britain was back imposing new rules, new taxes.
Here we go again.
But this time, the colonial response was different. Strikes, yes, but the demand became more fundamental. They started talking about needing representation in Parliament.
The whole taxation without representation thing.
Precisely. The idea was, look, if you're taxing us, we need a voice in the government making those decisions, which they absolutely didn't have.
That seems fair.
But Britain refused. Flat out refused.
And then?
According to the video, Britain actually increased taxes even more, which, as you can imagine, just led to widespread anger. Things were getting really tense.
Feels like a powder keg.
And the match that lit it, as the video tells it, was the Boston Tea Party. December 1773.
Famous incident, Boston, Massachusetts. 3 ships in the harbor loaded with goods, tea included, facing these taxes.
And a group of colonists, in this really bold act of defiance, boarded the ships, smashed the crates, and dumped the goods right into the harbor.
Wow, just threw it all away.
It was a dramatic, defiant statement against the taxes. The video highlights how audacious it was and how it really emboldened other colonists to express their anger more openly.
It shifted things from protest to direct action.
Definitely. And remember, the population was booming then. The video points out this huge growth, like 2,000 people in 1625, up to maybe 2.4 million by 1775.
That's a massive number of people feeling these policies.
Huge. So the discontent wasn't just a few people, it was widespread.
So how did Britain react to the Tea Party?
Harshly. They sent troops to Massachusetts, clamped down hard on the colonists there.
Trying to make an example of them.
Seems like it. But instead of crushing the spirit there, it actually angered the other colonies.
It backfired.
Completely. It galvanized them. Representatives started meeting more often, talking about how to respond together to Britain's heavy hand.
And those meetings were key, weren't they? The video says they started fostering this shared identity.
Yes. People started seeing themselves less as just, say, Virginians or New Yorkers, and more as Americans, facing a common problem from London.
And that's when the idea of independence really took off.
That's when it started to seem like a real possibility, even a necessity. The 13 colonies began coordinating.
And they formed their own sort of parliament, the Continental Congress.
Exactly. A massive step, a unified front making decisions together.
And the video mentions they were discussing some pretty radical ideas even then, like ending slavery, citizenship.
Yeah, incredibly forward-thinking stuff for the time being floated in those discussions.
Which all led up to July 4th, 1776.
The big day. They formally declared independence from Britain, still celebrated today, obviously.
And they published the Declaration of Independence.
Sent it out among the colonists. And it had those incredibly powerful words, the video quotes them. We see these truths, all human beings created equal.
Endowed by their creator with unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
A revolutionary statement of rights and self-governance for that era. Truly radical.
But declaring it is one thing.
Achieving it is another entirely. It wasn't peaceful, not by a long shot.
No, Britain wasn't just going to say, okay, off you go. The video says they sent the army, kicked off an 8-year war.
The Revolutionary War. And Britain's main goal, militarily, was pretty simple. Divide the colonies. Break their unity.
Divide and conquer.
But the Americans fought back. The video highlights a really key early moment. Saratoga, New York.
What happened there?
The colonists managed to surround a significant British force. The British general was outnumbered, trapped.
Wow.
He had to surrender. Signed an agreement, the Treaty of Saratoga, basically promising to leave with his troops.
And the video says Saratoga was huge because...
It was a major turning point. It proved to European powers that the Americans were serious.
Right.
They could actually beat a major British army. This wasn't just some minor uprising.
Okay, so it gave them credibility.
Exactly. And the Americans played that smart. They started asking Britain's enemies for help.
Like France, who Britain had just kicked out of North America.
Perfect timing for France. They saw a chance for revenge.
Makes sense.
So France, and later the Netherlands and Spain too, jumped into the war on the American side.
Driven by geopolitics, maybe not love for the Americans.
The video suggests it was more about getting back at Britain, yeah. But that support was crucial.
And the Americans had leadership too, right? George Washington.
Absolutely. The video credits him as a skilled general, key in organizing the military effort, which was vital for their success over that long war.
So with allies and determination.
Britain eventually wore down. The war was costly. They were suffering losses, not achieving their goal. The video notes that by 1783, they'd had enough.
And they agreed to American independence.
Yes. The war ended, and the United States of America, 13 Independence States, was officially born.
Okay, so that's the incredible story of the original 13. Okay. But like we said, there are 50 today. How did that happen? How did they get from 13 to 50?
Right, that's the next big phase. Expansion. A huge territorial growth, as the video lays out.
Okay.
After the war, France still had this massive territory west of the Mississippi. Maybe tired of managing it, they made an offer.
The Louisiana Purchase.
Yep. The U.S. bought it for $15 million. Doubled the size of the country, just like that.
15 million. Wow.
What else? Much later, Alaska. Russia needed money, so they sold their North American territory to the U.S. $7.2 million for that one, the video says.
Alaska from Russia? Okay. What about Texas? That has a complicated history.
Very. Ruled by Spain, France, Mexico at different points. It actually became independent for a bit.
And then decided to join the U.S.
Exactly. Then there was land gained from Mexico after the U.S.-Mexican War.
Right.
And the video even mentions some islands taken from Spain after the Spanish-American War in 1898.
So it was a mix, big purchases, joining by choice, and territory taken through conflict.
A real mix. And as these huge areas were explored and settled, new states were gradually carved out and added to the Union over many decades.
Until they reached 50.
Until they reached 50, creating the map we basically know today.
Wow. What a sweep of history. From ancient lands, colonization, that desperate fight for independence as 13 states, and then this incredible rapid expansion to 50.
It's a really complex story. Migration, colonies, revolution, war, massive deals, all woven together.
And seeing how those original distinct places came together and then how the nation grew, it really sheds light on the forces that shaped the U.S.
Yeah, and hopefully this dive, drawing on the video, gives you a quick path to grasping those key milestones.
We saw how these places, some basically country-sized, found common cause, fought for their own rule, and then how that union just kept growing.
And maybe something to think about, circling back to that Declaration of Independence idea we mentioned.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Those powerful ideals. As you think about this whole story, the unification, the revolution, but also the later expansion, how new lands and peoples were brought in. How did those later actions both live up to and maybe sometimes challenge those founding principles?
That's a deep question. Definitely something to mull over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for diving deep with us today.